Gen Xers are drowning. We are in the middle of a real financial crisis that not many people are openly talking about, and we need to talk about it. So if you are a high achieving woman in your 40s or 50s you've been laid off and you can't find sustainable work, livable wages, and you are exhausting your funds right now, you're depleting your savings, you are all the way into your retirement plan, and those funds are vanishing. You are maxing out credit cards, okay? And you are borrowing from your 401k or 403b plan. This video is for you. Now, we need to address the silent truth, okay? The silent truth of the financial crisis of Gen Xers that we're facing right now. Okay, but many are not openly sharing. We're not having candid conversations about this. We're not having real talk about what's going down in the background, right? What's going on behind our closed doors? Like, what is happening here? And we are also not talking about the solution and what you can do to claim your power. And so I want to really do a deep dive and get into not only the problems today that exist, but also the solutions so that you can take the information that I provide to you today in today's episode, okay, and do something with it and get into radical action, practical solutions that you can literally take and change your life. Now, before we get into it, my name is Katrina Marie, also known as the Boss Chick Biz Coach and your fearless legacy leader. And I help women just like you who are in your 40s, women over 40, women of color, LGBTQ plus women, established corporate career professionals, right? And high achieving women entrepreneurs to leave a job that no longer serves you. So leave corporate America, cut that corporate cord, be it a toxic job, a hostile work environment, or just a job you've outgrown. And those high achieving women entrepreneurs who are ready to build aligned and profitable online brands and businesses without sacrificing your soul and sanity or compromising your health, healing, and happiness. Now, here's what I want to say. If you are someone who is ready to have you feel like you're flatlining, okay, in areas of your life right now, and you need somebody to resuscitate your life and your business, I'm that girl, okay? And that's what I'm here to help you to do. And that's why this conversation about the financial crisis that Gen Xers are facing, particularly women over 40, is critical to your success, not just your financial success though, but your holistic success, okay? So in everything that I teach and talk about here, I take a holistic approach in my teaching methodologies. That would be important for you to know. So, so if you're new to me or true to me, welcome or welcome back. I appreciate you being here. Let's go ahead and get into it, okay? So let's talk about what is going on here, like the reality of the Gen X burnout, right? But we first got to establish and understand who we're talking about when we say Gen Xers, because there's the millennials, right? There's Gen Xers, there's baby boomers, there's what Gen Zers now. Like it runs the whole gamut. I'm talking about us specifically. So those who were born 1965 through 1980, okay? We are being laid off, we, as in Gen Xers, in the workforce, those of you who are still in the workforce. So if you watching this video right now, if you're still in the workforce, I'm talking specifically to you. If you've been laid off, it's to no surprise because Gen Xers as a whole, we're being laid off in record numbers, okay? And often we are the highest paid, yet we are the first to be cut, to be let go, to be pink slipped, to be discharged, to be terminated, to be a part of a reduction in force, okay? In the corporate arena. That's just the way it goes. So let's talk really quickly. I just want to run down some stats for you because this is going to be a sobering moment here, okay? Because in order for me to really get into the heart and soul of this conversation, I want you to really hear like what's going on, how we got here, right? And this is going to put things into context so that if you understand some of the stats, then we can then talk about, okay, so we now know what the problem is. What are we going to do about it now that we understand what the problems are that exist? And again, how we got here. So first of all, There was a recent study done by AARP, okay, or AARP. Recent as in 2023, I believe was the most recent study that I've come across, where nearly 78% of older workers say that or believe that age discrimination is a barrier to getting hired again. Okay, women 45 plus, 45 and over, are twice as likely to experience long-term unemployment compared to those of their younger counterparts. The study also shows that many Gen Xers, and as you know, or maybe you don't know, we are considered the sandwich generation. And so what's happening is we are caught between, we're shouldering the responsibilities of our households, but then we also have, we're sandwiched in between raising children, right? Maybe even grandchildren. Maybe we have adult children or college age kids who are in the midst of a crisis or in their own financial crisis that we're needing to help. And then we have our aging parents, some of whom might be ill, right? They may have some difficulties or some medical conditions that they're dealing with right now. And you're the primary caregiver. And so you're not only taking care of your own household, but you've got your kids and then you've got your parents, right? If they're still living. And so you're doing all of this while you're navigating job loss. And you might also be starting, maybe you launched, okay, a business, or maybe you're trying to grow a business while all of this is going on. Cost of living, though, continues to rise, right? It continues to soar through the roof. You've got housing, right? The cost of groceries, gas, insurance, healthcare. But guess what? The wages are not rising with it, right? The wages for those who are re-entering the workforce usually oftentimes are about 20 to 30% below their previous salaries. So whatever you were making before, your layoff, and then you try to come back and re-enter the workforce after you've been off for some time unemployed, your wages that you are now having to accept are about 20 to 30% lower than what you were making prior to. Okay. And then let's talk about burnout, because that's a real thing, right? And it's not just burnout physically, it's burnout financially, it's burnout emotionally, it's burnout spiritually, right? Sis, take a breath, because I know you're tired, exhausted. Those descriptive words may even be an understatement with what you're really feeling and going through right now, because you've climbed the corporate ladder. You hit that six-figure salary. You felt like you had a secured job, a cushy corporate career. And now you're feeling betrayed, right? Now you're feeling like you're wondering, how the hell are you going to pay your bills, right? And here's the truth. Here's what I need to say. It's not your fault at all. It's the system. The system was not built for your comeback. But guess what? We, the Gen X women, are built for a comeback. So this little setback is temporary. And whether you know it or not, or whether you can see it like this or not, it is a setup for your comeback. We are resilient women. We are resourceful women. Okay? At this big old age, you have done a lot in your career. And I'm going to share with you in this video exactly how you can come back from where you are right now, even better and stronger on the other side. So don't fret, okay? Despite what you're going through right now, I'm not being dismissive of that, because I've been there. I get it. I understand you. I know what it feels like. I feel your pain. Obviously, that's why I'm doing this video. But I'm also here to let you know that I know a thing or two about having to rebuild from ground zero. Okay? If you don't know my story, get to know my story. You can find that in my Resuscitation Room live stream show series that I've done some time ago. You can watch the replays and get a better understanding, because I did a deep dive there. So I know a thing or two about bouncing back, about resiliency, okay, about a comeback, a come up, and temporary setbacks. So We're going to get into what you can actually do, but before we go there, I want to talk about why this isn't just a financial crisis. It's also an identity crisis. Okay. When a job becomes your identity, a layoff can feel like a death of self, right? Now, that wasn't necessarily true for me because, honey, I didn't mind leaving a job that I wasn't welcomed at, or that they didn't want me, or that I was rejected at, or where my voice wasn't valued, or where I felt violated in any way, right? If I felt victimized, or actually was, or anything like that, or it just was a job that I was not stimulated at, or outgrown, or whatever the case might be, I was out of there. I truly was a job hopper through the 30-year tenure of my career. A long time, yes. But that might not be true for you. What might be true for you is that you feel like your job defines you, and you do feel like there's death of yourself, right? And that is true for many women, many Gen Xers who are well established in their careers. And then the rug was pulled from underneath them. They had no clue. They weren't prepared. And they were so blindsided that they're trying to scramble around and fumble and bumble through and figure out what to do. And so, but here's the truth now, and let me further just expand on that, okay? Because here's the deal. Many Gen X women do build their self-worth around their professional title, right? I'm a director. I'm a VP. I'm a healthcare administrator. I'm a leader of some sort, mid-level leader, high, upper leader. I'm a C-suite executive. I'm I don't know, whatever, fill in the blank, important sounding title. But without that title, you may question your value. Who am I now? What do I do now? Where do I go from here? This job was everything. I thought I was going to retire from this job. I've put in all these years, my talent, sweat equity, my loyalty. I was committed, dedicated. And so it's a grievance process you have to go through. You're thinking about your retirement accounts, right? Your retirement accounts are being drained and your credit cards are being maxed out, and freedom feels a bit out of reach right now. And let's also tell the truth about being at this age, this stage, this phase of our lives, 45, 50, 55 and above. It's shame around starting over, right? You feel like I'm too old for this crap. How did I not see this coming? How did I end up here? How did I put myself in a position like this where I was ill prepared? And you also may feel invisible, but you're still carrying power. And that's what I need you to know. And there is power in the pivot. Okay. And we're going to get into that here shortly too. But I want to use this moment to say that your job is what you did. Okay. It is not who you are. It does not define you. A job should never define you. And so if no one's ever told you this, you can rebuild your life. Yes, from ground zero. Ask me how I know. Okay. And reclaim your power. Rebuild your life on your own terms. That's where we are right now. That's what needs to happen for you to feel in a position of power again, in control of your life again. We need to focus on getting you back to your happy place. How do you get back to your happy, right? Because somewhere along the way, that got lost. But here's the thing. This is what I need you to stop doing before we can get there. I need you to stop clinging on to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Okay? Stop clinging on to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Now, before we go any further and get any deeper into this conversation, if you're getting what I'm giving and you love these gems I'm dropping, go ahead and leave a comment right now so we can get this discussion popping. I would love to know What's pulling on your heartstrings right now, and what's resonating with you deeply right now? What are you feeling? Where are you in the journey? What have I said so far that's been an aha moment? I want you to type that in the chat right now, and let's go ahead and continue the dialogue beyond this video. Also, if you are getting value from my video or any of my episodes, go ahead, or my content in general, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell, or I don't even think you have to hit the notification bell anymore, but definitely subscribe so that you get notified whenever I drop new content and or go live, okay? Now, I want to talk next about the broken system, okay? Because you might have thought all this time it was you. It ain't you. It is not you. I guarantee it. It's the system. And the system is broken. It's been broken for a long time, and I don't think they're fixing it anytime soon. Okay? This is a systemic issue. So, what exactly is the problem? What makes the system broken? Well, for starters, honey, I got a whole long laundry list, okay? But we won't go there because I don't want to make this video too extra long. But what I will say is, for starters, there are outdated hiring processes, right? They are still relying, employers are still relying on keyword filters and resume bots. That's a problem because they're overlooking qualified individuals. Employers are wanting 25-year-olds with 30 years of experience. Hello, make that make sense, okay? So, and then, Gen X women are deemed overqualified. You know this. But that's just translation for we're too expensive, too experienced, right? We won't stay, we won't adapt. Those are the assumptions being made. Not necessarily true, but those are the assumptions being made nevertheless, right? Many companies are opting for younger hires who can be trained cheaply, contract workers where they can avoid paying benefits, okay? And outsource or overseas outsourcing, also for cheap labor, yes, generally for cost savings for the company, right? For their bottom line. So I remember going through a hiring process where I literally checked off every single box except one. And that one unchecked box was all it took for me to be dismissed. And I know no matter what, rejection stings, right? Especially when we are overqualified individuals, overqualified workers, overqualified leaders. What I want you to know is that the HR process is no longer about humans. It's about algorithms. So it's not your resume. It is the system. And again, I'll say it 1,000,001 more times if I have to. The system is broken. So now that we've talked about what the problems are, and I know you know what the problems are for the most part because you're living it, right? It's your nightmare right now. But maybe you didn't know those stats and some of the other things that might be key for you to have understood before we get into what the actual solution is. So I'm never going to tell you the problem and talk about the problem without giving you the solution. That's not my style. Okay, I don't teach that way. So let's talk about what you can actually do right now. I want you to go grab, if you haven't already, and you always should come prepared with pen and paper in hand, okay? Or at least, something to type on, or come back and watch this video again. I want you to take notes because I'm always going to be dropping gems, okay? I'm always going to get you into radical action and actually giving you practical solutions and action steps that you can take and do something about your situation right now. Okay, so I'm not going to leave you in limbo. Now, the first thing you need to do is assess your financial bleed. We got to stop the hemorrhaging. Okay, we got to stop the hemorrhage. And we can't stop a bleeding wound by putting a bandage on it. We can't just slap a bandage on it. Okay, I need you to seriously sit down, get still, get quiet, and assess your financial position right now. What is your current circumstance? You stop the bleeding by auditing your expenses. That's the first thing. Okay. What subscriptions do you have right now that you can let go of? Now, I'm talking about necessities is what you need to keep, and the niceties you need to temporarily let go. And I know that's hard to hear when you've been used to living a luxury lifestyle or living a certain way. You have a certain status and all of this, but for now, we've got to make this work, right? To get ourselves out of the predicament we're in and into a better situation. So you got to audit your expenses. And I know sometimes, especially Gen Xers, it's really hard to look at the numbers. It's hard to sit down and look at the bills and stuff, right? But you got to know your numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, then you can't put a plan in place that you can realistically execute on, because you don't even know what your survival numbers are. You don't know where the bleed is. You don't know where to put the bandage on, right? Or you don't know where to put the gauze, or to stop the bleeding, or how to stop the hemorrhaging, because we don't even really know where the problem is coming from yet. We do know the situation is that you've been laid off or fired or terminated or discharged or whatever you want to call it, okay? You don't have a job, you're unemployed. So you can't have the same expenses, obviously, that you had when you were working. That doesn't work. So do you have unnecessary subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, YouTube Premium, Amazon Prime, whatever? There's a whole list of them, gym memberships. Can you keep some of those subscriptions, but maybe not the paid versions for now? I know it's annoying as heck, right? To keep listening to all the commercials, the ads and such. But listen, we got to do what we got to do. The ads don't last long. You can skip most of them, and you still get the same quality of service, right? But it's for free. We've got to figure out where to trim the fat. Okay. So start there. What bills can be paused or reduced immediately? Can you get if you have any credit card debt, can you call those credit card companies and have them lower your APR, your interest rate? Can you do a balance transfer to one of those credit cards that gives you the opportunity to have like a zero balance for 6 months, 9 months, 18 months even? I've seen up to 24 months, 0% interest or lower interest rate, right? If you're in good standing with the credit card companies, you can get a lower interest rate. You just need to ask, okay? That leisure lifestyle, I know all about it. But do you really need to get your hair done right now every 2 weeks? Your nails every week, right? Can you just go get a regular manicure, right? Can you just maybe get the gel polish and not the artificial nails? Do you have to get all the extra? Do you have to buy the handbags, the clothes, the shoes, the latest and the greatest? Do you really need the massages as often as you're getting them? Do you need to have the pampering, the travel, the dining out every single, as often as you're doing right now? So let's take a real hard look at what we need versus what we want or desire, right? Again, I'm not saying you can't have the things that you desire, but there are options out there that it doesn't have to be the paid version or the most expensive thing, or you don't have to go as often. Okay, take a look at that. Then set a 3-month minimum, ideally 6 months, of a survival budget, right? Your cash cushion, build that up if you haven't been already. Your emergency savings, at least 3 months, ideally 6 months, a survival budget to buy you some breathing room. Then I want you to, if this is your situation right now, it's like if you're in a really tough spot, go ahead and apply for short-term support. There's support programs out there such as community resources. There's like housing relief, hardship programs, community job centers, right? You just got to look, you got to start asking You need to start networking with other individuals so that you can ask these questions to people who are perhaps, in this environment, who can like lead you or guide you or support you in the right direction. Okay. So those are just some of the things that you can do to start. Here's where I really want your ears to perk up. Okay. I need you to get yourself a bridge job and or a portfolio position. Now, I'm not going to go too deep in this video because we're already at about 25 minutes, okay? I want you to just have some ideas of what you can do to get a bridge job or a portfolio position. And in another video, stay tuned for that, I'm going to actually break this all the way down for you, okay? What it is, some more examples, like I'm going to really get into it. But for now, we're not doing a deep dive. I'm just going to run through some example positions that you can get yourself right now to get yourself out of this situation, okay? The first one is virtual assistant, or, like an admin position, an online executive assistant. You, depending on what kind of work you've been doing, just take one or two of these examples I'm giving, write these things down, think about what skill set you have right now and what you can actually transfer into one of these positions, or what skill set you already have to go get one of these positions or to create it, okay? But freelance writing is really good. That's always one. Freelance editing, even like if you're into videos, if you know how to build websites or graphic design or anything like that, okay? If your background is in healthcare, the lowest hanging fruit is always going to be consulting or coaching if you have prior experience, okay? Then there is life coaching, business coaching, career coaching, right? Whatever is specific to the niche that you're currently in or the niche that you want to get into. Start small, and then you can eventually set up to scale, okay? But we can't talk about scaling until you start. We got to start, we got to grow, and then we can scale, okay? If you are into real estate and that's your background, maybe you can be like a real estate, what is it called? Real estate referral agent. Maybe you can do virtual wholesaling. My son and I have a family business. That's what we do. Okay. That's another business that I have aside from my online coaching and consulting company. If you're into real estate, you can also do maybe like a transaction coordinator, like there's, or a real estate agent, right? Or a realtor. Like there are a variety of things that you can do in real estate if that's your background. If you are coming from the education space, if you were once a teacher, you can teach online, right? You can become a tutor. You can teach online classes, workshops. There's grant writing. If like you really are a great writer and you understand grants, right? If you come from the nonprofit sector, that's another thing that you can do as a bridge job or a portfolio position. I think I mentioned career coaching, resume reviews, resume writing, right? Now, I'm going to say something here that you can also do. I don't want you to get your panties in a bunch, girl, because I know I'm a bougie chick. I'm a real diva, okay? There are certain jobs I used to feel like were beneath me until I was in a position myself, like you are right now. And I had to do things that I didn't ever think I would do, okay? But there are jobs, and I have clients that I've worked with that are, VPs, nurses. It doesn't matter. When you are in a really bad spot financially, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, or some other sort of gig work might be just at least a temporary solution. It's not a forever thing, okay? Like I said, whatever you got to do to keep your lights on, keep food in the fridge, to keep a bill or two paid, you got to do it. Okay. But this is as you're looking for a bridge job, right? Or a portfolio position. And while you're also getting help and while you're building your business, hopefully, because that's something else that you should be doing. And you can build a business in any of those things that I listed earlier, any of those positions as examples. What else? I think so. I said Uber, Lyft. I don't know all the gig stuff, all the gig work stuff, but you can look into it, right? There's a plethora of them out there. Now, you obviously want to do something that's going to allow you to make livable wages, and those kinds of gig work opportunities won't be it, which is why I first talked about the the bridge jobs and the portfolio position. Okay. There also are though contract positions through platforms like Fiverr and Upwork and Flex Jobs. Okay. And if you're in healthcare, you can get a part-time or per diem position, particularly if you're a nurse doing fully remote work. So that's something else you can do. Okay, not just nurses, but if you're in healthcare in general. Okay. And then we got to talk really quickly just about monetizing your skills. So what are monetizable skill examples? Well, say for example, you are a former HR director. Okay. You could sell resume packages or do maybe like a LinkedIn profile makeover. Okay. Something like that because you have that skill set. If you are an ex-nurse or a former nurse, or maybe you're an active nurse now, but you no longer want to work at the bedside, or you don't want to go back to the bedside or the clinic or wherever it was you were working, you can do like health coaching for a specific demographic. Like I did when I first started, I did career transitioning, teaching women over 40 how to transition out of a career and start their own business. Okay. So maybe you can do something similar or just simply focus on the health and wellness piece, right? Health education or what have you. If you are an ex-educator, maybe you're a former teacher, right? And you got laid off, you can tutor, you can do curriculum designs, you could do parent workshops. Like there's a lot of things you can think about doing, but those are some examples. Okay. Now, as a real example, I can talk about one of my clients. And I have a former client who actually was a VP for about 15 years in corporate America. After she was laid off, after that length of time, and of course, she was not prepared for it, she launched a consulting firm. And she offered to teach new leaders how to navigate team management. And then she literally made I want to say she replaced her six-figure salary within, I know it was less than, I want to say between 4 and 6 months for sure. Okay, now I'm not saying that's going to be your story, but that was hers. Now she also had a large network of resources. She also did everything I said, right? When we worked together, and she checked off every box and she went hard. So she was able to obviously replace her salary pretty quickly. And that could be your story, right? Using myself as an example. And the thing is this, I want you to look at it like this. You're not going back, right? You're going beyond. And that's the mindset we really need to be in. We're not going back, we're going beyond. So hold on to that, simmer on that. And I'm going to share really quickly what I did. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but when I was laid off for the first time, the very, very first time, it's happened to me a few times, but when I was laid off for the first time as a healthcare administrator, I started doing more consulting. Okay, consulting and coaching. I started doing more webinars and workshops and then inviting people to a call, a complimentary discovery call. And on that call, I was able to, talk to women, kind of understand their position, what they were going through and where they were in the journey. And then really teach them how to start their own businesses in the online space. And that's how I really started my coaching and consulting business. Okay, that I still own and operate 9 years later today. Okay, as of this recording, it's been 9 years. So, and I was still building my own business at the time. Okay, so either of these scenarios could be you, but I just wanted to give you some exact examples that you can kind of think through your situation and think about what you can actually do. Okay, so if you're in a position right now where you need a clear next step, okay, I want to offer you a freedom and focus clarity call. That's where I get on a call with you, understand your situation, get to know you better. I'll share a little bit about me. Obviously, it's an opportunity for us to figure out if we're a good match to work together, and for me to help you with where you are in the journey. And that's really what I'm here for, is to meet you where you are in the journey. So so I want to make sure that we talk about, maybe you just need one-off support and you have a few questions for me, then that's fine. The clarity call will definitely give you the clarity and insight you need. But obviously, if you want to take it a step further and go deeper, we can also talk about how we can work together one-on-one in a VIP day, okay? Or, to do a VIP day, I conduct those a few at a time every quarter. And then there is group coaching. So, and then of course I have, online courses and digital products and stuff, but I'm talking about a deeper transformation, okay? I'm not talking about just part of the solution. I'm talking about literally getting you from where you are now to where it is you ultimately want to be. So I would love to have that opportunity to speak with you. Go ahead and jump on a call with me. Schedule right now. I'll make sure I have the links in the pinned comment as well as in the description box, okay? And you can also check out other resources there. But what I want you to know is that you're not broken, okay? You are not broken. You just need a better plan. That's it. That's all. Okay. So click the link so you can get started as soon as possible. And we can have a deeper conversation there. But definitely leave some comments below and let me know what really hit home for you today. I would love to hear more. Okay. Now that's my time. I'm going to tune out while you tune in. Be sure to share this video out with at least 3 friends and watch the next video that YouTube recommends, okay? As always, and until next time, I am wholeheartedly in this journey with you. Bye for now.